The afternoon sun made shadows on the kitchen floor as I watched my daughter Rachel pack boxes. 23 years old, with curly red hair just like her father had. Her green eyes were happy, the kind of happy that made my heart feel warm and scared at the same time. But then Marcus, the man she wanted to marry, walked into the room. He looked at me like I was dirt on his shoe. That look made my stomach hurt. "Rachel, sweetie," Marcus said, touching her shoulder. "Can you go check if the flowers arrived? I need to talk to your mom about something important." My daughter smiled big and kissed his cheek. "Course, honey. Mom, be nice." She walked out, and suddenly the kitchen felt too small. Marcus sat down at my table like he owned it. The same table where I fed Rachel breakfast every morning since she was tiny. "Let me be honest with you, Carol," Marcus said. He never called me Mom or even Mrs. Thompson. Always just Carol, like we were the same age. Tomorrow is about starting new. Rachel and me, building something fresh without old things holding us back. I poured myself water, my hands shaking just a little. "What old things are you talking about, Marcus?" He smiled, but his eyes stayed cold like frozen water. He said simply. "Rachel needs to grow up, cut the strings, move forward. We both think it's time you step back. Way back. Actually, we think the best gift you could give us is to just disappear. Leave us alone. Let us be a real family without you always being there." My cup almost fell from my hand. "Rachel wants this?" I asked, my voice sounding strange in my own ears. "She's too sweet to say it," Marcus continued, standing up and walking around like he was the boss. "But yeah, she agrees. You smother her, Carol. Always calling, always visiting, always giving advice nobody asked for. We want to start our marriage clean. No interference from a mother who can't let go." The room started spinning a little. This boy, because that's what he was, just a boy with a mean heart, was telling me to erase myself from my baby's life. "And what if I say no?" I whispered. Marcus shrugged like he didn't care at all. "Then Rachel chooses. Me or you. And Carol, I'm pretty sure I know who she'll pick. I'm her future. You're just her past." He walked to the door and stopped. "Think about it tonight. Tomorrow, do the right thing and stay away." After he left, I sat at that kitchen table for a long time. The same table where Rachel learned to color. Where we ate birthday cake. Where we laughed and cried together. But Marcus was wrong about one thing. I wasn't going to disappear quietly. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that like button for Granny's voice. I stood up and walked to my office. Inside my desk was a folder. A blue folder I had been filling for 4 months. Ever since something felt wrong about Marcus. Ever since I noticed Rachel stopped smiling the way she used to. Inside that folder were papers. Bank papers. Court papers. Police papers. All about Marcus James Sullivan. The man my daughter thought she loved. The man who was lying about everything. I opened my laptop and started typing emails. First to my lawyer friend, Janet. Then to the wedding hall manager. Then to someone very special. A woman named Patricia Sullivan. Marcus's first wife. The wife he told Rachel never existed. By midnight everything was ready. The beach house I bought last year, the one Rachel kept showing her friends on her phone, the one she called our future vacation home, was sold. I signed the papers at 11 o'clock. A nice young couple bought it. They were so happy. They had no idea they were part of my plan. Next, I printed exactly 49 envelopes. One for each table at the wedding. Inside each envelope was something Marcus would never forget. The next morning came too fast and too slow. I got dressed in my mother-of-the-bride dress. It was purple, Rachel's favorite color. I did my hair nice. Put on makeup. Looked in the mirror and saw a woman who was about to lose her daughter but save her at the same time. My phone buzzed. It was Rachel. "Mom, where are you?" "The wedding starts in 3 hours. I'm getting my hair done, sweetie. I'll be there soon. Promise." She sent back a heart emoji. My eyes got wet, but I didn't cry. Not yet. The wedding was at a big hotel by the lake. White chairs in rows. Flowers everywhere. Music playing soft and pretty. I arrived early and found Tom, the hotel manager. He was holding a box. Inside that box were my 49 envelopes. "Thank you for doing this, Tom," I said, handing him extra money. "At each table, one envelope. Right before dinner starts." Tom looked worried. "Ma'am, are you sure about this? This is going to cause trouble." Smiled. "Sometimes trouble is the only way to tell the truth." The ceremony started at 4 o'clock. Rachel walked down the aisle holding my brother's arm because her daddy died when she was 12. She looked like an angel in white. So beautiful it hurt my heart. When she passed my seat, she smiled at me. A real smile. Full of love. I smiled back, knowing everything was about to change. Marcus stood at the front in his fancy suit, looking proud. The pastor talked about love and trust and honesty. Words that meant nothing to the man standing there lying to everyone. "Do you, Rachel Marie Thompson, take this man to be your husband?" "Yes, I do," Rachel said, her voice shaking with happiness. "Do you, Marcus James Sullivan, take this woman to be your wife?" "I do," Marcus said loudly like he was winning a game. "Then I now say you are husband and wife. You may kiss your bride." Everyone clapped. Music played. Rachel and Marcus walked back down the aisle together. She was crying happy tears. He was smiling that cold smile. And I sat there waiting. The reception hall was decorated like a fairy tale. Lights hanging from the ceiling. Tables with white covers. Tall flowers in the middle of each table. And at every single place where someone would sit, there was a small white envelope with a red ribbon. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that subscribe button for Granny's voice. Rachel saw them first. "Mom, what are these?" She picked one up, looking confused. "Wedding favors," I said calmly. "A little gift from our family to everyone who came today." Rachel's friend Amy opened hers first. I watched her face change. First confused, then shocked, then angry. She looked up at Marcus with wide eyes. Within seconds, other people started opening their envelopes. Gasps filled the room. Whispers started spreading like fire. Marcus's face went white like paper. Rachel stood there, holding her envelope but not opening it yet. "What's happening?" Rachel asked, looking around at all the guests staring at Marcus. "Someone tell me what's going on right now." Her college friend stood up, holding the paper from her envelope. "Rachel, this says Marcus is already married. That he has a wife in another state. He never got divorced." "That's not true," Marcus said quickly, his voice cracking. "This is crazy. Someone is lying." "Open yours, Rachel," I said quietly. "See for yourself." My daughter's hands shook as she tore open her envelope. Inside was a marriage license. Marcus James Sullivan and Patricia and Rivera. Married 6 years ago. Never divorced. Also inside was a photo. Marcus and Patricia on their wedding day smiling. Below that was a police report. Marcus had stolen money from Patricia's bank account and disappeared. There was also something else. A restraining order Patricia filed against Marcus for threatening her when she tried to find him. Rachel read everything. Her face changed colors. Red, then white, then red again. She looked up at Marcus with tears in her eyes. "You're already married. This whole time you were lying." We sat there for a long time, not talking, just being together. Eventually Rachel asked about Marcus. "What will happen to him?" Patricia answered that one. She had stayed behind too, sitting quietly at another table. "He'll go to trial for fraud and bigamy," she said. "With evidence from me and now from your situation, he'll probably spend years in prison. And all the women he scammed are filing claims together. He won't be able to do this to anyone else." "That's good," Rachel said quietly. "Nobody else should go through this." Over the next few weeks, things slowly got better. Rachel moved back home with me. She canceled the honeymoon. She returned all the wedding gifts with notes explaining what happened. Most people sent back cards saying they were glad she was safe. Marcus's trial was set for 3 months away. Patricia was helping the police find other victims. They found 2 more women Marcus had engaged with before Patricia. Both had lost money. Both had no idea he was lying about everything until it was too late. One Saturday morning, Rachel came into the kitchen while I was making pancakes. "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Course, sweetie. Anything." "Were you scared? When you decided to expose Marcus at the wedding, were you scared I would hate you?" I flipped a pancake and thought about my answer. "Yes," I said honestly. "I was terrified. I thought you might never forgive me. But I was more scared of what would happen if I did nothing. If I let you marry him and he hurt you worse later." Rachel sat down at our table. The same table where Marcus told me to disappear. "I probably would have hated you," Rachel admitted. "If you had just told me, I would have defended him. I would have chosen him over you because I believed everything he said. I needed to see it all at once. With proof. With his actual wife standing there. Otherwise, I would have made excuses for him forever. That's why I did it that way," I said, putting pancakes on her plate. "Sometimes love means making hard choices that hurt." We ate breakfast together, and Rachel told me about her plans. She was going back to college to finish her degree. She had 2 semesters left. She was also seeing a counselor to talk about everything that happened. And she was thinking about writing a book. About her experience. About how to spot liars and manipulators. "So other women don't fall for the same tricks," Rachel explained. "Marcus was good at what he did. But there were signs. I just ignored them because I wanted the fairy tale to be real." Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that subscribe button for Granny's voice. 3 months passed, and Marcus's trial started. Rachel decided to attend. She wanted to face him, she said. To look him in the eye and let him know he didn't break her. I went with her, holding her hand in the courtroom. Marcus looked different now. Smaller somehow. Less confident. His fancy clothes were gone. He wore an orange jumpsuit and handcuffs. When his lawyer asked him questions, Marcus tried to explain. He said he loved Rachel. He said he made mistakes but meant well. He said Patricia was lying about everything. But then the prosecutor showed evidence. Bank records showing Marcus stealing money from Patricia. Text messages to other women while engaged to Rachel. Police reports from all over the state. Emails where Marcus bragged to a friend about finding rich targets. It took the jury 2 hours to decide. Guilty on all charges. The judge gave Marcus 7 years in prison. Then he had to pay back all the money he stole. Over $200,000 total from all his victims. Marcus stared straight ahead when the sentence was announced. No emotion on his face. But when they took him away, he looked at Rachel one last time. She didn't look away. She stared right back until he was gone. Outside the courthouse, Patricia hugged my daughter. "We did it," she said. "He can't hurt anyone else now." Rachel smiled. It was a small smile but a real one. "Thank you for coming forward," Rachel told Patricia. "I know this was hard for you too." Patricia nodded. "We're survivors," she said. "Both of us. We're stronger than he ever was." That night Rachel and I had dinner at our favorite restaurant. The one we used to go to when she was little. She ordered the same thing she always ordered as a kid. Chicken fingers and fries with extra ketchup. We laughed about it. About how some things stay the same even when everything else changes. "Mom," Rachel said, getting serious suddenly. "I need to apologize properly. For everything. For choosing Marcus over you. For believing him when he said you were controlling and jealous. For almost cutting you out of my life." I reached across the table and held her hand. "You were manipulated, sweetie. That's not your fault. But I should have trusted you," Rachel said, tears in her eyes again. "You raised me. You've never lied to me. You've always protected me. And I almost threw that all away for a man who lied about everything." "Lesson learned," I said softly. "Next time you'll know the signs. Next time you'll ask questions. Next time you'll trust your gut when something feels wrong." Rachel nodded. "And next time I'll trust my mom when she says something's not right." We finished dinner and drove home. On the way, Rachel asked about the beach house money. "What should I do with it?" "Use it for school," I suggested. "Or save it for a real future. One you build honestly with someone who deserves you." Rachel stared out the window. Do you think I'll ever trust anyone again? Course you will, I said. Not everyone is like Marcus. There are good people in the world. Kind people. Honest people. You just have to be more careful. Ask more questions. Move slower. But don't let one bad person ruin your ability to love. That would mean he wins. And we're not going to let him win. My daughter smiled at that. You're right, Mom. We already won. He's in prison. I'm free. We're together. That's winning. 6 months after the wedding that wasn't, Rachel graduated from college. She walked across the stage to get her diploma, and I cried happy tears in the audience. She had worked so hard to finish school while dealing with everything else. After graduation, Rachel started working at a company that helps abuse victims. She used her experience with Marcus to understand what others were going through. She became really good at spotting manipulation tactics and teaching people how to protect themselves. 1 year later, on what would have been Rachel's first wedding anniversary, we did something different. We threw a party. Not a sad party. A celebration. Party for freedom, for truth, for second chances. We invited all the friends and family who had been at the wedding. Everyone came. They brought food and gifts and love. Patricia came too. She and Rachel had become friends over the months, bonding over their shared experience with Marcus. The party, Rachel gave a speech. She stood in our backyard, holding a glass of juice, and talked to everyone. A year ago, I almost made the biggest mistake of my life, Rachel said. I almost married a liar, thief, a manipulator. But I didn't because my mom loved me enough to do something hard. She exposed the truth when I couldn't see it. She risked me, Rachel continued. Today isn't about what almost happened. It's about what didn't happen. I didn't marry Marcus. I didn't lose my family. I didn't lose myself. Instead, I learned what real love looks like. It looks like my mom, who wouldn't give up on me even when I pushed her away. It looks like Patricia, who was brave enough to warn others about the man who hurt her. It looks like all of you who supported me through the embarrassment and pain. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that like button for Granny's voice. After Rachel's speech, we ate cake. Not wedding cake. Just regular happy birthday style cake with colorful frosting. We played music and danced and laughed. Felt like healing. Like moving forward. Like starting over the right way. Patricia pulled me aside at one point. You saved your daughter, she said. I wish someone had saved me before I married Marcus. You're saving others now, I reminded her. You're helping put him in prison. You're warning people. That matters. Patricia smiled. We make a good team, all of us. Rachel, you, me. We're proof that women who support each other can't be defeated by men like Marcus. Hugged her. Yes, we are. Later that evening, after everyone left, Rachel and I sat on the porch watching the sunset. It was peaceful, quiet. Mom, Rachel said softly. Thank you. For what, sweetie? For not disappearing. When Marcus told you to leave my life, you could have just walked away. Let me make my own mistakes. Let me learn the hard way. But you didn't. You fought for me even when I didn't want you to. I squeezed her hand. I could never disappear from your life, Rachel. You're my daughter. My whole heart. Nothing and nobody could make me abandon you. Not even you telling me to go away. Rachel leaned her head on my shoulder. I'm glad. I'm glad you're stubborn and brave and protective. I'm glad you're my mom. We sat there until the stars came out talking about the future. Rachel had met someone new at work. A nice man who worked in the legal department. He was patient and kind and honest. She was taking things very slow this time. Asking questions. Watching for red flags. Being careful with her heart. I'm not rushing anything, Rachel told me. We're just friends right now. Getting to know each other. No pressure. No promises. Just honesty. That sounds perfect, I said. Take your time. The right person will wait. 2 years passed. Rachel and the man from her work, his name was David, were still dating. Slow and steady. He met me early on and I liked him immediately. He was nothing like Marcus. David was quiet and thoughtful. He worked with homeless shelters on weekends. He had a dog named Buddy and a small apartment full of books. He never made big promises or flashy gestures. He just showed up consistently, treated Rachel with respect, and made her smile real smiles. One Sunday, David came to our house for dinner. He brought flowers for me and helped cook without being asked. We ate together at the kitchen table. That same table where Marcus once told me to disappear. But now it felt different. Happy again. During dessert, David cleared his throat nervously. "Mrs. Thompson," he said formally, "I wanted to talk to you about something important." I looked at Rachel, who was grinning. "Go ahead, David," I said calmly. "I love your daughter," David said simply. "I want to marry her someday. But before I even think about proposing, I wanted your blessing. And I wanted you to know something important." My heart beat faster. "What's that?" "I will never ask Rachel to choose between me and her family," David continued. "I will never try to isolate her from the people who love her. I will never lie to her or manipulate her or make her feel small. I promise you that if you trust me with your daughter's heart, I will protect it with my life." I felt tears in my eyes. Happy tears this time. "You have my blessing, David. And my trust. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for loving Rachel the right way." David smiled with relief. Rachel jumped up and hugged him. Then she hugged me. We all cried a little bit, the good kind of crying. 6 months later, David proposed. Not at a fancy restaurant or in public. He proposed at our kitchen table during Sunday dinner. He got down on one knee right there between the chairs and asked Rachel to marry him. She said yes. Of course she said yes. But this time felt completely different. This time there was no secret dread in my stomach. No worried feeling that something was wrong. This time I knew David was genuine. I knew he loved Rachel for real. And I knew this wedding would actually happen, and it would be beautiful. The wedding was small. Just close family and friends. 20 people total. It was outside in a garden with simple flowers and a kind pastor. Rachel wore a short white dress. David wore a gray suit. They wrote their own promises to each other. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that subscribe button for Granny's voice. When Rachel said her promises, she included something special. "I promise to love you honestly," she said to David. "I promise to communicate clearly. I promise to trust you but also to trust myself. And I promise to never let anyone come between me and my family because I learned that real love doesn't demand that sacrifice." David's promises were just as beautiful. He promised to earn her trust every day, to support her dreams, to respect her family, to build a life together based on truth and kindness. When they kissed after being announced as husband and wife, everyone clapped and cheered. I cried again, but these were the happiest tears I'd ever cried. My daughter was married to a good man. Real man. Someone who would protect her and love her and treat her right. The reception was at our house. We set up tables in the backyard and served food I cooked myself. Rachel's favorite dishes from childhood. There was music and dancing and laughter. No envelopes with secrets. No police showing up. No drama. Just pure, simple joy. During the reception, Rachel pulled me aside. She handed me a small box wrapped in silver paper. "What's this?" I asked. "Open it," she said with a mysterious smile. Inside was a necklace. A silver chain with a charm that said "Best Mom." But there was also a note. I read it out loud. "Mom, this necklace is to thank you for never disappearing, even when someone tried to erase you from my life. You stayed. You fought. You saved me. I will love you forever. Your daughter, Rachel." I couldn't speak. I just hugged her tight, the necklace clutched in my hand. "Thank you for letting me be your mom," I finally whispered. "Thank you for coming back to me when you got lost." We stood there hugging for a long time while the party continued around us. David came over and joined our hug, making us laugh. "This," Rachel said, looking at both of us. "This is what family feels like. Safe, honest, real." 3 years into Rachel and David's marriage, they had a baby. A little girl with red curls just like Rachel. They named her Caroline after me. The first time I held baby Caroline, I cried again. Seems like I did a lot of crying in this story. But Marcus was still in prison. He had 4 more years on his sentence. Patricia had moved on with her life, working as a counselor for fraud victims. She visited us sometimes, bringing gifts for Caroline. The 4 of us, me, Rachel, David, and Patricia, had formed an unexpected family unit, bonded by survival and truth. One afternoon, while I was babysitting Caroline, Rachel asked me something. "Mom, do you ever think about that day? The wedding day when everything exploded?" "All the time," I admitted. "Do you regret how you did it?" Rachel considered the question carefully. "Sometimes I wish it had been private," she said slowly. "Not in front of everyone. But then I remember that if it had been private, Marcus would have convinced me you were lying. He was that good at manipulation. Doing it publicly, with proof, with Patricia there, that was the only way to make me see the truth. So no, I don't think you should have done it differently. I think you did it exactly right. That meant everything to me. More than she probably knew." Caroline started fussing, so I picked her up and rocked her gently. "This little one will never know what her mama went through," I said. "She'll grow up safe and loved and protected." "That's the gift," Rachel said. "That's why you did what you did. So I could have this life. This real, honest, beautiful life." Years passed. Caroline grew into a smart, funny little girl. Rachel and David had another baby, a boy named Robert after Rachel's father. Our family grew and changed and thrived. I retired from my job and spent my days helping with the grandkids. One day I got a letter in the mail. It was from Marcus. He was still in prison but eligible for parole soon. The letter said he was sorry. He said he had time to think about all the people he hurt. He said he understood now that what he did was wrong. He asked for forgiveness. Not to get back in our lives, he wrote. Just for his own soul. I showed the letter to Rachel. "What do you think?" he asked. "Do you want to forgive him?" Rachel read the letter twice. Then she handed it back to me. "I forgive him," she said simply. "Not because he deserves it, but because I deserve peace. Holding on to anger only hurts me. He's already paid for his crimes with prison time. I don't need to punish him more with my hate." Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that like button for Granny's voice. I was proud of her wisdom. My daughter had grown so much from that scared young woman who almost married the wrong man. She was strong now, confident, sure of herself and her worth. I wrote back to Marcus a short letter saying that we forgave him but wanted no further contact. That we had moved on and wished him well in rebuilding his life honestly. That was the last we heard from him. Sometimes I wonder if he really changed or if the letter was just another manipulation. But it doesn't matter anymore. He's not part of our story now. He's just a lesson we learned. A chapter that ended so better chapters could begin. On Caroline's 5th birthday we had a big party at a park. All of Rachel's friends came with their kids. David's family came. Patricia came with her new husband, a kind man who treated her right. We had cake and games and presents. Watching Caroline blow out her candles, surrounded by people who loved her, I felt complete. This was what I fought for. This moment. This family. This happiness. This was why I didn't disappear when Marcus demanded it. Rachel came up behind me and put her arm around my shoulders. "Happy, Mom?" she asked. "I'm more than happy, sweetie. I'm grateful. Grateful for every hard choice that led us here." Rachel squeezed my shoulder. "Into even the painful parts. They taught me what real love looks like. And it looks like you refusing to give up on me." After the party, while cleaning up, David asked me a question. "Mom, Carol," he always called me Mom now. "What would you tell other parents dealing with something similar? What advice would you give?" I thought about it while picking up paper plates and napkins. "Trust your instincts," I said finally. "If something feels wrong about your child's partner, investigate. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to look like the bad guy. Because being temporarily hated is better than watching your child get destroyed by someone dangerous. And gather proof before confronting anyone. Feelings aren't enough. You need evidence. Documents. Things that can't be argued away or explained as misunderstanding." David nodded seriously. You saved Rachel's life. Not just her safety or her money. Her whole life. Her future. Everything. I shook my head. I just did what any mother would do. Protected my child. But not every mother would have been brave enough, David insisted. Not every mother would have risked their relationship with their child to expose the truth. You were willing to lose Rachel forever to save her. That takes incredible courage. His words made me emotional again. I suppose it did take courage. But it didn't feel brave at the time. Felt necessary. Like breathing. Like something I had no choice about. That night, lying in bed, I thought about Marcus's words from years ago. You know what would be the perfect gift? You disappearing from our lives forever. He thought demanding my disappearance would weaken Rachel. Would give him complete control. But he was wrong. Because I didn't disappear. I stayed. I fought. I protected. And in doing so, I showed Rachel what real love actually means. Real love doesn't isolate. It doesn't demand you cut off family. It doesn't ask you to choose between your partner and your parents. Real love includes. It welcomes. It brings people together instead of tearing them apart. Marcus wanted me gone because he knew I could see through his lies. He knew that as long as I was around, Rachel had someone watching out for her. Someone who would notice the inconsistencies. Someone who would ask uncomfortable questions. He was right to be afraid of me. Because mothers who love their children are the most dangerous enemies liars can face. We notice everything. We remember everything. We investigate everything. And we never ever give up. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that subscribe button for Granny's voice. The years continued passing peacefully. Caroline started first grade. Robert learned to walk and then run everywhere. Rachel got promoted at her job. David started his own consulting business. Our family dinners happened every Sunday without fail. The kitchen table that once held so much pain now held only love and laughter and spilled juice and homework papers. On what would have been Rachel's 10th wedding anniversary with Marcus, she and David celebrated their 6th real anniversary instead. They went on a trip together while I watched the kids. When they came back, Rachel seemed lighter somehow. Freer. Like she had finally let go of the last bits of shame and embarrassment from that terrible time. Mom, Rachel said one evening while we folded laundry together. I want to do something. I want to start a program to help other people spot con artists before they get too deep, Rachel explained. Her eyes bright with passion. Classes or workshops or something. Teaching people the warning signs. How to investigate someone you're dating. When to ask for help. I could use my story. Help others avoid what I almost went through. I thought that was a wonderful idea. You should do it, I encouraged. You have knowledge that could save lives. Rachel smiled. Will you help me? Course, sweetie. Always. And so Rachel's project began. She called it Trust But Verify. She created workshops for young people about healthy relationships versus manipulative ones. She taught people how to do background checks. How to spot financial red flags. How to recognize isolation tactics. Patricia joined as a co-teacher, sharing her own experience. The workshops became popular. Schools invited them to speak. Churches asked them to run sessions. News stations did stories about their work. What started as Rachel's healing project became something that helped hundreds of people. One woman came up to Rachel after a workshop with tears in her eyes. Your program saved me, the woman said. My boyfriend was doing exactly what you described. Isolating me from my family. Lying about his past. Asking for money. I confronted him with what I learned here. And he admitted everything. I got out before it was too late. Rachel hugged the woman. I'm so glad. That's why we do this. So others don't have to learn the hard way. These moments made everything we went through worthwhile. Every person Rachel and Patricia helped was proof that pain can be transformed into purpose. That surviving something terrible can become the foundation for helping others survive too. I attended many of their workshops, sitting in the back and watching my daughter teach with confidence and compassion. Sometimes Rachel would ask me to share my perspective as a parent. I would stand up and tell our story. not to embarrass Rachel, but to show other parents that protecting your children sometimes means making hard choices. I always ended my part the same way. If someone tells you to disappear from your child's life, that's a giant red flag. Real partners want to build relationships with their loved one's family. They don't demand isolation. So if you're being pushed away, push back harder. Investigate. Ask questions. Protect your children, even when they think they don't need protection. People would nod and take notes. Some would come up afterward with questions about their own situations. I would listen and advise and sometimes just hug them while they cried. Years turned into a decade. Caroline was now a teenager, smart and skeptical and aware. She knew her mother's story. We had told her age-appropriate versions as she grew up. When she started dating at 16, she was careful. She asked questions. She introduced us to anyone she liked immediately. She had learned from her mother's experience without having to live through it herself. That's generational healing, Rachel said proudly. Caroline will never be as vulnerable as I was because she knows what to watch for. Robert was 12, obsessed with soccer and video games. He was sweet and kind to everyone. I added my perspective. And if your boyfriend is a good person, he'll understand why you're asking questions. He won't get defensive or angry. He'll appreciate that you're being careful. But if he tries to turn you against your mother for having concerns, that's a red flag right there. The young woman nodded thoughtfully. She came up afterward and thanked us. Said she would have those conversations. We hoped we'd helped her avoid heartbreak. 15 years after Marcus, life was good. Better than good. It was peaceful and full and meaningful. I was 70 years old now, still healthy and active. Rachel was 38, confident and successful. David was 40, running a thriving business. Caroline was a senior in high school, preparing for college. Robert was 15, still playing soccer and making us laugh. Our Sunday dinners continued without fail. Our family had grown to include David's parents, his sister and her kids, Patricia and her husband, and various friends who had become like family. The kitchen table we sat around had to be extended with extra leaves to fit everyone. But it was the same table, the same kitchen, the same house where Marcus once told me to disappear. Except now it was filled with love and truth and real relationships built on honesty. Sometimes I would look around that crowded table and feel overwhelmed with gratitude. Gratitude that I didn't disappear. Gratitude that I fought. Gratitude for every hard choice that led to this moment. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that subscribe button for Granny's voice. One day Rachel and I were having coffee alone. The kids were at school. David was at work. Just us like old times. Mom, Rachel said suddenly. I never properly thanked you. You've thanked me 100 times, sweetie. No, I mean really thanked you. Rachel set down her coffee cup. You gave up your peace for me. You risked our relationship. You could have just walked away when Marcus told you to. Let me make my own mistakes. But you didn't. You stayed and fought even when I pushed you away. Even when I believed his lies about you. I reached for her hand. That's what mothers do, Rachel. We don't give up on our children. Ever. But not every mother would have been strong enough, Rachel insisted. Some would have backed off to keep the peace. Let their daughter marry the wrong person rather than cause a scene. You weren't worried about looking bad or causing drama. You only cared about saving me. I squeezed her fingers. And I'd do it again tomorrow if I had to. 1,000 times over. Because you're my heart. My whole world. Nothing matters more than your safety and happiness. We sat quietly for a moment, just holding hands. Then Rachel smiled. I hope Caroline never has to go through something like this. But if she does, I'll do exactly what you did. I'll gather evidence. I'll make the hard choices. I'll risk her being angry at me to protect her. Because you taught me that real love sometimes looks like temporary anger. Good, I said. That means you learned the lesson. And the cycle of protecting our children continues. That evening, I sat on my porch watching the sunset. 17 years had passed since Marcus tried to erase me. 17 years of living a life he tried to destroy. 17 years of watching my daughter flourish. 17 years of being present for every birthday, every milestone, every ordinary Tuesday. Marcus spent 7 years in prison. He was released 8 years ago. I had no idea what happened to him after that. Didn't care to know. He was irrelevant to my life now. Just a bad memory that led to good outcomes. Because his cruelty taught me strength. His manipulation taught Rachel wisdom. His lies taught us the value of truth. In trying to destroy our family, he accidentally made it stronger, made us more aware, more careful, more appreciative of genuine relationships. Sometimes I wondered if Marcus ever thought about us, if he regretted trying to con Rachel, if he understood the irony that his demand for me to disappear actually made me more present in my daughter's life than ever before. Probably not. People like Marcus rarely see beyond themselves, rarely take responsibility, rarely genuinely change. But that was okay. We didn't need his regret or his apology. We had moved on, built something beautiful from the ashes of his deception. My phone buzzed with a text from Caroline. "Grandma, can you help me with my college essay? It's about someone who influenced my life." I smiled and texted back. "Course, sweetheart. Come over tomorrow after school." I closed my eyes and breathed in the evening air. This was peace. This was victory. Not loud or dramatic. Just quiet contentment. The satisfaction of knowing I made the right choices, even when they were hard, even when they hurt. The next day, Caroline came over with her laptop. We sat at the kitchen table, that famous table, and she read me her essay. It was about me. About how I saved her mother. About how that act of courage changed their whole family's future. About how I taught her that protecting people you love sometimes means making them temporarily upset. Cried, obviously. I seem to cry a lot in my old age. But these were happy tears. Proud tears. "This is beautiful, Caroline," I said. "But you know what the best part is?" "What, Grandma?" "The best part is that you'll never need someone to save you like I saved your mom. 'Cause you already know what to watch for. You already know the questions to ask. You're prepared in a way your mother wasn't." Caroline hugged me. "That's because of you. You and Mom taught me. But if I ever do need saving, I know you'll be there. Just like you were there for Mom. Always, sweetheart. Always." The essay earned Caroline a scholarship to her dream college. She decided to study psychology, wanting to understand manipulation and help others recognize it. The cycle continued. Pain transformed into purpose. Experience shared to prevent others from suffering. Another generation taught to be careful but not cynical. To trust but verify. To love openly but wisely. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that like button for Granny's voice. On my 75th birthday, Rachel threw me a surprise party. Everyone came. Family, friends, people from the Trust But Verify program, even some folks I'd helped over the years. Patricia was there with her family. David's whole extended family came. During the party, Rachel gave a toast. She stood up with her glass raised and cleared her throat. Everyone got quiet. 20 years ago, she began. A man told my mother to disappear from my life. He thought he could erase her, control me, steal from my family. But he didn't know who he was dealing with. My mother doesn't disappear. She doesn't give up. She doesn't back down when someone she loves is in danger. People laughed and clapped. Rachel continued. Because Mom refused to disappear, I'm standing here today. Happily married to an amazing man. Mother to 2 incredible kids. Doing work I love. Living a life I almost lost. Everything good in my life exists because my mother was brave enough to expose a liar. Strong enough to risk my anger. Wise enough to gather proof. And loving enough to save me even when I didn't want to be saved. More applause. Rachel's eyes were wet. So this party isn't just about Mom turning 75. It's about celebrating a woman who chose truth over comfort, who chose protection over peace, who chose her daughter's future over her daughter's temporary happiness. Mom, you're my hero. You're all our heroes. I stood up and hugged Rachel while everyone clapped and cheered. Thank you, sweetheart, I whispered. But you did the hard part. You came back. You forgave. You learned. You turned pain into purpose. We're a team, Rachel whispered back. Always have been. Always will be. The party continued late into the night. Music and dancing and stories and laughter. At one point I found myself alone for a moment, standing outside looking at the stars. David came out and stood beside me. Thank you for not disappearing, he said quietly. What? I asked, confused. When Marcus told you to disappear, David explained. Thank you for refusing. Because if you had left Rachel's life back then, none of this would exist. Rachel and I wouldn't have met. Caroline and Robert wouldn't be here. This whole beautiful family wouldn't exist. By staying, by fighting, you didn't just save Rachel. You created this entire future for all of us. I hadn't thought about it that way. But he was right. One choice. One moment of refusing to give up. That choice rippled forward through time, creating lives and love and purpose that wouldn't have existed otherwise. My choice to stay changed everything. Not just for Rachel. For Caroline. For Robert. For David. For Patricia. For every person their program helped. For every student Caroline would eventually counsel. For every life touched by our story. One woman refusing to disappear. That's all it took. One mother saying no to a manipulator. One person choosing truth over silence. And from that one choice, a whole world of good emerged. As I stood there under the stars with David beside me, I understood something important. Marcus thought he was destroying me when he demanded I disappear. But actually, he was giving me the greatest gift. He was showing me exactly how strong I was. How far I would go for my daughter. How much I was willing to risk for truth. He thought he was erasing me. Instead, he was defining me. The years since that terrible day had been the best years of my life. Not because they were easy, but because they were meaningful. Because I knew I had done the right thing. Because I got to watch my daughter flourish. Because I got to hold my grandchildren. Because I got to help others avoid the same pain. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that subscribe button for Granny's voice. Marcus wanted me to disappear. Instead, I became more visible, more present, more important to my family than ever before. His cruelty created my purpose. His lies revealed my strength. His manipulation taught me wisdom I shared with others. In trying to erase me, he actually immortalized me. Because now my story lives in Rachel's book. In their program. In Caroline's essay. In the lives of everyone we've helped. I didn't disappear. I multiplied. One mother became a movement. One family's pain became 1,000 families' prevention. One woman's refusal to give up became inspiration for countless others to stand strong. So here I am, 75 years old, still standing, still present, still fighting for the people I love, still refusing to disappear. And every time I sit at that kitchen table, I remember the day Marcus told me to leave. And I smile. Because I didn't leave. I stayed. And staying was the best decision I ever made. The party wound down. People hugged goodbye. Thanked me for the good food and good company. Rachel and her family were the last to leave. Caroline hugged me extra tight. Love you, Grandma. Never change. Love you too, sweetheart. Be brave, be wise, be careful. Robert hugged me next. You're the coolest grandma ever. You're pretty cool yourself, kiddo. David shook my hand, then pulled me into a hug. Thank you for everything. For Rachel. For trusting me. For being the heart of this family. Finally, Rachel. We stood there at my front door just looking at each other. No words needed. Everything important had already been said over 20 years of healing and growing and loving. I'll see you Sunday for dinner, Rachel finally said. Same time, same place. Same table, I confirmed. The one where it all began. And where it all continues, Rachel added with a smile. She walked to her car where David and the kids waited. Before getting in, she turned back one more time. Hey Mom, she called out. Yeah, sweetie. Thank you for not disappearing. A wave. Never, my love. Never. And I meant it. Thanks for listening to Granny's voice. Don't forget to subscribe and share your story in the comments below. Your voice matters too.